Welcome back to Fat Logic, where people will find any excuse as to why they can't lose weight, but they won't try eating less. The first one's brought to us by Anything with Gloves. Here's somebody complaining about how incredibly hard it is to eat fruit. Okay, here are the actual steps to eat a bowl of fruit. Step 0. Notice that you need fruit and remember it. Not always easy with many disabilities. 1. Go to the store. Hopefully you have reliable transportation and don't live in a food desert. 2. Find the fruits that you want, compare prices, figure out weights, remember how long things can be stored, and cross-check that with how often you can reasonably go to the store. Hopefully you aren't affected by flickering fluorescent lights, squeaky cartwheels, noises, and lots of people moving around you. 3. Transport your groceries home. Hopefully you have the physical strength and dexterity to carry fruit, which can be heavy and bruises easily, along with your other groceries. 4. Put away all your groceries. You may be physically exhausted, in pain, or mentally overstimulated at this point, but groceries need to be put away. 5. Keep track of what is ripe at what time and determine the optimal day to eat several things which ripen and go bad at different rates. 6. Have a clean bowl, spoon, fork, cutting board, and knife on hand. 7. Take fruit out of the fridge, bring it to the counter. 8. Wash fruit. 9. Cut fruit. This requires physical strength and dexterity. 10. Put cut fruit in the bowl. 11. Clean up a sticky mess of fruit juices on your cutting board, counter, knife, spoon, and bowl. 12. Keep track of which fruit you already ate and what fruit will be ripe next. Little Gray Tabby responds, Steps to go to McDonald's. 1. Get off couch. 2. Walk to your car. Hope you have reliable transportation. 3. Drive to McDonald's. Hope you don't have a catastrophic seizure on the way. 4. Decide what you want to order. Very difficult for certain disabilities. 5. Idle in your car in the drive-thru. Very costly for people who need to keep an eye on gas prices. 6. State your order over the speaker. Impossible for people with social anxiety who never leave the house. 7. Idle some more. Unhealthy for people with lung disease. 8. Pay for it. He doesn't mention it, but this is unhealthy for people who are living on a budget. 9. Drive home. 10. Distracted driving while reaching over to munch fries out of the bag. He skips a couple more steps then where you get into an accident because you were eating the fries, and you have to talk to the cops because you were getting into an accident, etc., etc. 11. Unwrap the food. 12. Throw the wrappers away. At this point you may be exhausted, overstimulated, or in pain. He adds, Steps to eat a pear. 1. Go to the store. 2. Put some pears in a bag. 3. Pay for it, about $1 each at the fancy grocery store, but cheaper elsewhere. 4. Put it in a bowl on the counter. 5. Realize that you're hungry. 6. Wash it. 7. Eat it whole without slicing it, you weirdo. 8. Enjoy reducing your risk of malnutrition and chronic health issues. He forgot step 9. Have nothing to do on the internet now that I no longer can complain about the difficulty of eating fruit. The next was brought to us by Aware Swimming. I believe this is a doctor writing this question. I do have a question. I haven't seen the film, and I'm trying to be as sensitive as possible here. But from your standpoint, is it possible to make a film about the very real, actual dangers of obesity without being fatphobic? I believe the film they're referring to here is The Whale by Brendan Fraser. Someone replies, Are you asking how to make people scared of being obese without being fatphobic? No, I'm asking how we can make a film that is about the very real problems that being obese presents without being fatphobic. If we're at the point where we're saying it's not a health concern at all, you've officially lost me. The only very real problems here are how our society treats people in bigger bodies, especially doctors and insurance companies. It's inherently fatphobic to treat being fat itself as a problem. Are you being serious right now? Absolutely. You can educate yourself on deadly fat phobia in the medical profession, the obesity paradox, haze, etc. if you'd like, but I won't do it for you. Have a great night. Sure, equally, you can educate yourself on the very, very many health issues that obesity is strongly linked to, and for which there's an endless amount of literature and evidence to draw from. If you'd like, but I won't do it for you. Have a good one. If you actually do the research blank is suggesting, you'll discover that there is an endless amount of really bad research that mistakes correlation for causation while neglecting potential confounds like fat phobia, chronic dieting, and poor medical care. This discussion has made me do more research about what I thought was common sense than I ever cared to. And yeah, the science that's out there, by a fairly huge margin, agrees with me that obesity is a major health problem. How can you all be so obtuse? Is it deliberate? Did you read any of the material about how obesity is even defined, how the term itself is problematic, which makes the research premised on it as a category problematic? If you aren't going to really consider the complexities of the debate, maybe don't insult those who have. I actually did. That kind of stuff strikes me, quite frankly, as pedantic in the extreme. Also, sorry if I come off insulting, but this conversation is starting to illuminate that there are a lot of y'all out there propagating seriously unhealthy ideas to a lot of people. I'm not propagating any unhealthy ideas. Haze and intuitive eating are way healthier than any and every diet any of us fat folks have ever been on or ever will be on. Chronic calorie restriction to make ourselves smaller when there's no evidence that that works is what's unhealthy. Look, fad diets are terrible, but there is hard science to what to eat, combined with exercise, if you want to lose weight. Both Haze and intuitive eating have a massive amount of criticism against them, even from a cursory glance. The sicko model ignores many things, including the long-term impacts of extreme calorie restriction, which, by the way, has a stronger correlation to heart disease than obesity. And many of us have long histories of extreme calorie restriction. So which thing is more unhealthy? Extreme calorie restriction is what I'd call a dangerous fad diet practice, yes. What I mean is eat healthy foods, exercise and burn off calories. Get your heart rate up. Do it regularly. Unless there is some rare underlying genetic cause, you will see results. That doctor, or whoever it was really brave getting into that conversation. I rather admire his ability to not get angry and start cursing out the other person for just being annoyingly ignorant. Ishimura Huntress brings us. When I say I'm a hater at heart, I don't mean it in a ew, I hate her makeup and style kind of way. I mean it in a, if I find out a fat folk person is on a diet, I'll eat a full-course hot meal in front of them while meticulously wafting the scent in their direction and making absolutely sure they know how fudging good it is kind of way. I hate Melvin replies. My sister-in-law does this. Hate to break it to her, but listening to her make blank noises over their food really turns me off to the food. Yeah, I've seen enough mukbangs to know that that is incredibly disgusting. The one who wrote that, I wonder if she knows that people use that kind of mukbang as like inspiration to lose weight, because it is disgusting to watch. Alter Ato brings us. I got put in charge of organizing the cooking book section at work, so I conveniently placed the diet ones about calorie counting or skipping meals in hard-to-see places, because fudge diet culture and fat phobia. Kangaroo replies, yeah, that happens. A cookbook includes a section about skipping meals, like this delicious lunch recipe that you won't make to save calories for dinner. And what do they mean by calorie counting? The information about the calories and macros for each recipe? By hiding it, you only make it harder for people to plan a meal. Like you bake a pie for everybody, and then a portion is only 200 calories each piece, and it was supposed to be a dinner? I think he means a meat pie. From Groovy Aim. It's an infographic. Candy limits according to age. Age 2 and under, parents' discretion. Age 3, as much as they want. 4, as much as they want. 5, as much as they want. 6, as much as they want, etc., all the way through 9+. Squidly Studios replies, I can totally imagine some FA doing this with their kid. And then, when the kid ends up fat, they'll be like, there's no way we could have possibly avoided this. Honestly, makes me sick. I'd swear that pediatricians, too, say that under 2 they shouldn't have any candy or anything unnatural like that. Am I misremembering? Planet Witless brings us. OFFS. Sugar consumption does not cause diabetes. The epigenetics of generational starvation causes diabetes. Half-Elf Blood Demon. It sounds sciencey and relieves me of responsibility over my own health, so it must be true. Love Dove Bunny brings us. I hope this is an okay place to write this. My dog is having problems with diarrhea and based on a blood test, has an intestinal disease like IBS. Her vet wants her to do a 12-week trial on an RX diet. During this time, she can have nothing else, no treats whatsoever, and no other food, not even her heartworm meds. This is majorly bringing up childhood diet issues for me and is really feeling emotionally difficult. She is really food motivated and is used to getting a small treat after she potties. I feel like she will be sad and confused not to get treats anymore. I don't like controlling another being's food intake to this extent. I know I probably sound crazy, but has anyone else had this experience? So the dog is getting diarrhea, and all they would have to do is replace treats with affection, but they'd rather not do that because it makes them feel sad. Because maybe they'd have to have a hard conversation with themselves to realize that food doesn't equal love. Love Dove Bunny replies to her own post, "My issue with the OP, and tons of other people in the comments, is that this is about the dog. The dog being on a restricted diet is for its own health. The OP and others are projecting their own issues with food. One person is adamant about your dog, your choice. So basically you can continue to feed your dog treats and other foods not recommended just because you feel bad about your obesity and diet culture. As a pet owner, you need to control and restrict their diet one way or another." On reflection, I wonder if the treats they're giving the dog is chocolate and that's why it's getting diarrhea. It would explain a lot, especially since they're putting their own problems onto the dog and they think restricting the dog's access to chocolate was the same as restricting their own access to chocolate. Naked Lobster brings us, "Thin privileges, a seat at a concert or a performance." Someone replies, "I really enjoy live music and shows, both the energy of it and the ability to support performing arts, but it's so rare these days that I'm willing to put up with being in physical pain for hours to see a performance. This is why I only go to movie theaters with love seat-style recliners, because you can pull up the middle armrest, and was so happy when they started becoming more common." Five-Leg Goat replies, "I'm 6'5" and went to a Broadway theater, and had to sit with the seat back in front of me, pressed against my shins the whole time. Does that mean I don't have short privilege?" Flip Phone Phantom brings us, a woman tweets, "I just ran an entire mile in 9 minutes and 26 seconds. I used to weigh 363 pounds, and now I'm running a mile in under 10 minutes. That's pretty good." Someone replies, Ew, why did so many of my mutuals I thought were body positive like this? Bye." Body positive until you lose weight, I guess. Someone else replies, "Oh my god, this literally happened years ago, LMFAO. And also, yes, it still stands, because why did she have to say she used to be X weight and now she's not so she can run X time? It's literally saying fat people can't run or run fast, LMFAO, when there's runners like 300 pounds running on Instagram. It's reductive plus fat phobic." This is just simple physics. It's harder to run when you weigh more because you have to use more strength to jump from leg to leg. This is like saying you're anti-semi-truck because you say that semi-trucks burn more gas driving a mile than just a regular car. A Great Day to Think replies, "Some context for people who don't run a lot. A 9:30 mile is not fast to an experienced runner, but it's definitely a running pace, and you would be rightly proud to achieve such a pace, especially if you're previously weighed over 360. The 300 pounds and running guy occupies a strange space that I've seen a few other activists latch onto, proving they can run a marathon no matter what, even at a high weight. I'm not here to gatekeep. If you really want to complete a marathon distance no matter what, then do it. However, I will point out, he took 7 or 8 hours to do the Boston Marathon. Many people would walk the distance in that time. The race was effectively over by the time he crossed the line. And if you are very out of shape, it will be a lot safer and more effective to tackle shorter distances like 5K and work up from there, gradually. That doesn't necessarily make for good social media, though, I guess." Elmir 2000 brings us, "I just feel better when I'm thinner, is judgmental, fatphobic, and the placebo effect." Unpopular opinion. Is that belief in your head? How long have you been alive? That is how many days you've been indoctrinated to believe that being thin will solve all your problems, emotional and physical. That is how many days that belief has existed unchecked in your head, without serious work unlearning fatphobia, unlearning all these beliefs from the medical establishment, and unlearning your current dysfunctional relationship with your body. A trusting relationship with how your body actually feels is not possible. For example, personally, I know that when I take acetaminophen with the brand name Tylenol, I feel better quicker. That's the placebo effect of that name brand for me. That's the strength of that belief in my head. Science says I'm wrong. Science also says that if you move your body, feed it what and how it wants to eat, learn self-compassion and self-acceptance, and stop dieting, your body has a good chance of feeling better in all sorts of ways. I don't think science actually says any of that. Thinness not required. So, do you believe that you feel better thin, or do you feel better when you partake of behaviors that honor and enrich your body's life emotionally and physically? Hot Rod Sparrow replies, talk about delusion. When I was 313 pounds, I couldn't tie my shoes without getting out of breath. Now that I'm 199 pounds, I can run for 3 miles. I can almost do a pull-up, and I feel incredible. I don't know how that's a placebo. I think these FAs just grab a medical word and decide to throw it around to sound smarter. Aware swimming brings us. More complaining about fat phobia. Let's not forget the silent reminders, like kids having to squeeze in the desk chair at school, smaller seats on planes, restrictions at theme parks, smaller tables at restaurants, or hostesses sitting us at tables they know we won't fit at. When you don't go somewhere because of the seating, some airline seats are down to 16 inches across. Kate of the Night replies, using a TV broadcast announcer voice. I'll do my best. It's such a shame that lawmakers the world over are legislating fat oppression, that houses of worship are preaching at it in sermons, that businesses and organizations like the Chamber of Commerce are rubbing their fingers together gleefully and coming up with new and exciting ways for the industry to dehumanize and humiliate fat people, no matter what the expense. Wait a minute, Barbara. This just in. Breaking update. Fat people aren't actually oppressed by business, church, or state, and everything they're whining about is merely a capitalist frenzy of status-seeking, made more difficult by the consequences of their own actions. We regret the earlier error. Now over to Ted for the weather. Hefty Dig brings us. My sister just had some poopy, fat-phobic doctor prescribe her weight loss for some stuff, and me furiously researching, trying to prove that intentional weight loss always causes more problems than it solves. Princess Parabellum. I'm furiously trying to keep my sister from succeeding at something I'm too lazy to do. Aware Swimming brings us. Living in a fat-phobic society. Unhelpful belief. There's evidence that I need to change my body, and my body is bad. Change that belief too. There's evidence that society needs to change, and my body is not the issue. Your body's not the issue. Our fat-phobic society is. They should really just change this to, there's evidence I should change my body to get down to a healthy weight. And my body is unhealthy. Not bad. But it could be healthy if I took care of myself. At the same time, people shouldn't be insulting and making fun of fat people just because they're fat. Not me, not when it's you, brings us. Diets are just a privileged way to be malnourished. Truffles the Mushroom replies, and obesity is just a privileged way to be sick. Ethanol-based wife brings us. This is an article from Gizmodo. The average American male is too large to ride Super Nintendo World's Mario Kart ride. It adds, the new attraction at Universal Studios Hollywood can't accommodate every Mario fan. Ironic, the very activities that make you good at Mario Kart, sitting on the couch for long periods of time while playing on the Switch, is also the cause of you gaining too much weight and not being able to play Mario Kart in real life. And Jar brings us a related post. There's a NetShark article that says, Universal Studios Hollywood's Mario Kart attraction accused of fat phobia. That didn't take long. Is it even open yet? Do people even know what they're complaining about exactly? F Your Feelings brings us one I may have seen before and talked about before, but it's been a long time. Virgie Tovar writes, 2. Selfies taken from above. The religious avoidance of the double chin in selfies, with the camera always held 20 centimeters above the photographer's head, with the face tilted just so, sends a constant message about who and what is worth documenting. Try documenting yourself at different angles. Remember, you are photographing a special emotion or an important moment, and that you are trying to capture a two-dimensional image of a complex person. Plan it with us. Dear Miss Virgie, my little Pepita. It's not about double chins and fat phobia, kiddo. It's internalized turkey neck phobia. If you live long enough, this will become core to your self-presentation techniques. Also, Virgie started off by talking about selfies, which is just taking a picture of yourself in certain locations, and then moves on to talk about documenting yourself in real moments. Those usually aren't selfies. And speaking from experience, those moments are also incredibly hard to capture on film. Because what happens is as soon as you bring out your phone and people notice you're about to take a picture, they suddenly turn toward you and smile instead of being able to capture them in the actual moment of them living their lives. thereby destroying the shot. Response answer brings us. I really don't understand why the statement of all weight loss or desire for weight loss is fatphobic is so controversial online anyway. Like, any and all desire for or effort toward weight loss is indeed fatphobic. If you want to lose weight, it means you want to be smaller, less fat than you are. And if you want to be less fat, it means that for whatever reason, you have a lower opinion of fatness than you do of thinness. And to work against fatness or be anti-fat is, by definition, fatphobic. Flaxdad replies, this is why fatphobic has become meaningless. It includes 1. Actively being cruel to fat people. 2. Failing to accommodate fat people. And 3. Making personal exercise and diet decisions to lose weight or avoid becoming fat. These 3 things are not the same. Ms. Beaver brings us. The weird part about this one is the way it ends. Please stop posting and praising weight loss and transformation photos. Before and after photos emphasize that the after body is more desirable than the before body. What does that say to the person who looks like the before body? Before and after photos imply that one body is better than the other one. That is simply not true. Before and after bodies can reinforce weight stigma. Before and after photos can reinforce anti-fat bias. Before and after photos maintain the belief that losing weight and becoming skinny is to be seen as morally superior accomplishment. Before and after photos contribute to the idea that being fat automatically means you are not healthy. Before and after photos only show you what the person wants you to see. You do not see the struggle, restriction, and changes they may have experienced. Before and after photos can be posed, photoshopped, and changed from the original. Before and after photos can create unrealistic expectations. Before and after photos can be harmful to those who struggle with disordered eating, and they cap that all off with, comparison is the thief of joy. Book Hermit. Comparison is the thief of joy, says the woman comparing herself to a before picture of a stranger. This content may even be too on the nose for r/self-aware wolves. Anyway, the next one's from Fisky Mossy. Somebody writes, you do not eat calories. Your body doesn't need calories. Your body doesn't convert food into calories. At no point are calories involved in human metabolism. Your body uses ATP for energy, which is derived from macronutrients. Somebody replies, calories are not a thing. It's a unit of measurement. The energy that's used to create ATP and the energy that's created by ATP is measured in calories. The first person, calories are never involved in the creation of ATP. Calories are heat energy. The second person, the fudge is this kind of brain gymnastics called? They seem to think calories are like a fourth macronutrient that people just don't consume because it's only involved in the heating of water. It seems to me that elementary school has failed them, and badly. Auburn Handbow. It's a picture of one of the guys from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. First, looking fat, and second, looking ripped. Somebody, I think it's the actor himself, is talking about how to transform. Look, it's not all that hard. All you need to do is lift weights 6 days a week, stop drinking alcohol, don't eat anything after 7 p.m., don't eat any carbs or sugar at all. In fact, just don't eat anything you like. Get the personal trainer from Magic Mike. Sleep 9 hours a night, run 3 miles a day. I had to stop it there. 3 miles a day. He's trying to make this sound like it's incredibly hard, but running 3 miles a day is not incredibly hard. In fact, when the One Punch Man tells his workout for how he became the most powerful person in the universe, and the exercises that he's doing are supposed to be incredibly easy and pathetic, he's actually running more than 3 miles a day. And that's considered to be a beginner workout, what he was doing. Anyway, it continues. And have a studio pay for the whole thing over a 6 to 7 month span. I don't know why everyone's not doing this. It's a super realistic lifestyle and an appropriate body image to compare oneself to. OCR Amazon replies, well, yeah, if you specifically want that body, you might need to do all that. But 99.9% of the people don't have or need such lofty aspirations. This all or nothing mentality is what really kills people. Aware Swimming brings us. Thin girls can smoke 50 cigarettes a day and have alcohol benders every weekend and only eat KFC, and y'all are like, here for a good time, not a long time. But let a fat girl wear a crop top and it's like, this is promoting death and also the end of humanity. They continue, frankly, I believe some people might be shocked at how regular our portions and healthy our food choices are, and may be also surprised how much movement, walking, housework, etc., but maybe not structured workouts we do. But our bodies process all that differently. I have skinny friends who eat way more and chose way less healthy foods than me. But here I am at my obese self. I wish we could replace the words obese and morbidly obese. Gee, isn't that cruel to be labeled? With more kind descriptions of our size. Like cuddly, pleasantly plump. I don't know. The cruelty of the labels, even coming from my family doc, mentally damages me every time I hear it, or see it on medications they send home with me. Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack your rant. The difference between maintaining your weight and gaining about 12 pounds a year is about 100 calories a day difference in what you're eating. It's a very small difference. You could also lose about 12 pounds a year just by eating 100 calories less than maintenance. And nobody's saying that everybody who's overweight doesn't move. Well, maybe some people are saying that, but that's not true. Just obviously they're not moving quite enough for the amount of energy that they're inputting into their body, and their body's turning into fat. Any skinny friends they might have, while it might seem that they eat more and exercise less, in fact their net calorie gain is either zero or slightly negative. Otherwise they would also be fat. And about being labeled, aren't we all labeled? Zaza brings us, any relation to Zsa Zsa Gabor? Yeah, as others and you have mentioned, intentional weight loss doesn't really work. Unless you have an underlying health problem, your weight is just whatever your body needs it to be. Improving your nutrition and being more active are great goals that might, or might not, lead to weight loss. But in my opinion, there really isn't such a thing as physically and mentally healthy intentional weight loss. Your body is just whatever it needs to be. If that were true, nobody would ever get any weight-related diseases. It's absurd. Carping all them DMs replies, improving your nutrition and being more active are good goals that might lead to your body losing weight. They're so close, just a little farther. Ms. Beaver brings us, trigger warning, restriction talk. About 11 years ago, I went on a diet and lost several pounds, almost 100. Who counts almost 100 pounds as several? And I keep looking back on Facebook memories, and I just wanted to shake myself. Just eat the darn peanut butter, Emily. On a side note, it was not sustainable as I gained it all back. So the moral of the story is, always eat the peanut butter. How's that the moral of the story? Memory from 11 years ago, not a current thought process. So I finally succumbed to peanut butter this morning, and it was amazing. However, I'm having a hard time reconciling with the fact that I consumed half the calories I burned this morning in 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. Would someone reassure me that it's okay? I mean, it's not like I ate a jar of peanut butter, and it was really yummy. That was me reassuring myself. I feel like this requires a slightly less silly reply. When you're dieting, there's a couple major mistakes you can make. The first one is cutting your calories too much. This can make you crazy hungry. The second is cutting your fat intake too much. This can also make you crazy hungry, and start fantasizing about eating peanut butter or cheese. The third, cutting your protein too much. If you cut your protein too much, you might find that you're hungry all the time. Fourth, although probably not as important, is if you cut your carbohydrates too much, you might find that you're always very tired. But if you're not cutting your calories too much, this probably won't be a major issue. It sounds to me like this woman had both cut her calories and fat intake too much, and that's why she was fantasizing about eating peanut butter. I found this comment from Molly Scribbles that I thought was really interesting. I'm honestly wondering where these doctors are who give their all to help their thin patients get better, because I'm thin. Over a decade ago, I went to my doctor because the skin on my eyelids was peeling. You have to admit that that's an unusual symptom. Most doctors would be confused. I was told it was an allergic reaction to my makeup and to switch to a different brand of mascara, eyeliner, eyeshadow. I told them I don't wear makeup. Then I was told that it was a dust mite allergy and to wash my eyelids with baby shampoo. This was incredibly painful and did not help. Eventually, I got referred to a dermatologist in another city who wouldn't meet with me until I had a patch test done on my back so she could look at it and see what I was allergic to. The only thing I reacted to was the tape, and then only mild itching. Does she mean like when you wear a Band-Aid for too long and you get a rash underneath where the adhesive is? I hate that. I asked her about my eyelids. She took a quick glance and said, "It's eczema," and gave me no advice to managing it, beyond repeating the claim that it was due to the makeup I wasn't wearing, then focused on the psoriasis on my scalp. That was definitely less of an issue than my eyelids for the rest of the appointment. I was given a thin oil that I needed to rub onto my scalp after soaking my hair, then sleep with a shower cap on to keep my hair wet all night. Tried it, then decided that the trade-off between psoriasis and being able to sleep was better than sticking with the treatment and having my head freeze every night. Eventually, I got a doctor who gave me a steroid ointment, which worked at first, but eventually lost effectiveness. Steroid ointment, isn't that basically what they do for eczema? You can just buy over-the-counter stuff if it's not too bad. Years later, my optometrist told me my oil glands were clogged, and I needed to use a heated eye mask to help with the issue. Guess whose eczema cleared up as soon as I started doing that? It sounds to me like she needed a specialist, but a specialist in a field that doesn't exist. There aren't a lot of eyelid specialist doctors. This comes to us from Best of Redditor Updates, originally posted by Possible Showers. Today I messed up by topping 550 pounds. Trigger warning, it's about a parent being ill and the difficulties of traveling. I'm morbidly obese and have been my entire adult life. Each year I've weighed more than the last, and life has been a struggle both physically and mentally. I won't go into why I'm fat, but I'll admit that I am and that I have a problem. Around 18 months ago was the last time I saw most people I'm close with in person. My parents, siblings, friends, and their friends. At the time I was around 473 pounds, 215 kilograms, and I knew I needed to make a change. Brought on by the fact that I was at the limit of being able to wear a car seatbelt, and air flight travel was near impossible. But I didn't change. I live in a different state to those that I'm close with, and between work and restrictions from the pandemic, I've pretty much worked from home. I've ordered in food and cut back socializing substantially, and the weight kept piling on. I'm now 550 pounds, 250 kilograms-ish. I actually don't know my exact weight, as this is the max limit on my bathroom scale. I'm excessively tired. I probably have type 2 diabetes. I gotta be a little concerned at that sentence. If you suspect you have type 2 diabetes, you should definitely go see a doctor immediately. I know I need to change things, but can't. I've seen a couple of doctors within the last year, and the message has all been the same. The recommendation is no longer diet or lifestyle change as a priority. Rather, it is surgery. I will go to the first couple of appointments, and then I seem to forget about it and the next steps. It's probably more of a subconscious mental block thing, as I know I'm not intentionally making the decision to skip the appointments on reflection. But I don't know. I seem to lack awareness and the seriousness of the situation. You won't be surprised to know that I don't appear in any photos or have looked in a mirror for more than a second or two. Anyway, where did I mess up, you ask? Well, my father's health has tumbled and he recently caught COVID. My mother caught COVID shortly after. While my mother is now getting better, my father isn't. He has underlying health issues and he's dying. I must go home and see him in person, or I'm sure he'll be knocking on my door, and I had told my parents I'll be home for Christmas. But how do I go back and face him and others? How can I physically travel to see him? The distance I need to travel is not short. Flying, well, it was hard last time, so how do I do this now? I've looked into buying a row of seats on a plane and buying one of those private train cabs as a means to travel. This would stretch over multiple days, multiple trains, and my wallet isn't as deep as it needs to be to cover it. Then there's the issue of getting into a car at some point once I've arrived. I physically don't see an option to get my butt in a position to travel. I'm angry with myself, my situation, and how poopy of a son I am if I don't travel back home this Christmas. I've already thought of the excuses to use if I don't go back and see those who are close to me. I can't give in to this, but I probably will. An update 1 month later. I honestly didn't expect the overwhelming positive comments on my original post. Time will tell if this is my aha moment, but something did click when I read through the comments. I knew I had to try harder, if not for me, then for my father, who was in the hospital ICU, so I did. Below is that journey. To recap, I needed to find a way to physically transport myself between two major cities of quite some distance, transport myself between houses and hospitals, and face my family and friends at hopefully what would be my final biggest size. I couldn't drive, have a friend drive me between the cities, as this would be a several days journey, and my friendships aren't that strong. I first started with what I distilled to be a freight transport issue to solve. I found 3 medical transport specialist companies and 11 companies that had will deliver anything marketing material. While I continued to have positive correspondence, all options were exhausted quite quickly. If you're wondering, 2 companies laughed directly at me, 2 hung up on me, and 1 suggested an option that was $12K and I had to sign a waiver. Was the sketchiest of the options. None of the medical transport specialists would help given the distance to travel. I next turned to the airlines. One was quite helpful and convinced me it would be better and cheaper to buy a business class seat, which had an extra wide seat and more legroom, over buying a neighboring seat. I used public transport to get to the airport. Surprisingly, went well. Got to the plane and then I didn't fit in the seat. The armrests weren't adjustable. I tried to wedge myself in, but my thigh would hard press against the backrest adjustment button, so there was no way to keep the seat upright. I didn't get to the seatbelt issue, and there were no other seats available. I was rejected from the flight. Several emotions and events happened afterward. I wouldn't be flying that day, and I lied to my family why I wouldn't be flying. The airline called me the next day and offered me 2 economy seats at the same business class ticket price. Time of year and last-minute tickets elevated the economy class ticket prices. The plane had rows of 3, and I didn't want to risk anything, so I bought another seat, so I had the entire row. Given the time of the year, that 1 seat almost cost me the same as the original ticket cost. The middle seat armrests could be lifted. While 1 flight assistant had a problem with it being up on takeoff, that was my only option, so we needed to go with it. The seat belt extender wasn't an issue, they had it on hand. I was quite nervous about that, but they proactively brought it to me without asking. Yeah, I know, the need was obvious. I hadn't told my family I would be flying again, in fear I'd run into another problem, and with a bit of a positive buzz from a successful flight, I thought I'd surprise them. I tried 2 taxis, I couldn't get in the car. I tried a minivan taxi, and I couldn't wear the seatbelt. 1 taxi driver refused to look at me and locked their doors. I then decided to use public transport. This turned out to be a 4-hour journey as nothing was direct, but I made it to my parents' house. After all of that, I couldn't find a way to transport myself to the hospital to see my father. I tried to sit in my mother's car in advance, but wouldn't fit, so I lied again and said I had a bunged knee and couldn't bend it when it came to visiting him. She didn't overly question this, but I'm sure she knew the real reason. After 28 days, my father was released from the hospital on Christmas Day. I saw him at my parents' house. He is doing a lot better, has long COVID, and he never said anything to me about my weight. All of the family conversations were centered around my father. I couldn't find a way to start a conversation about myself either, even with my mother, whom I'm the closest with, for another time. My mother suggested I use a different bathroom for showering. It had a bigger door to access it. I declined and squeezed into the usual bathroom. On reflection, she was trying to help me and be more comfortable. I'm an idiot for not picking up on this in the moment. I lied again when I returned home, saying I would catch a taxi as I had an ungodly hour of flight. I repeated everything in reverse. As for my health, I have started another attempt at weight loss. I got a reading on the bathroom scales on Sunday for the first time. 555 pounds, 252 kilograms. My only positive from this is thinking that because I have a reading, my weight must have declined from whatever it was over Christmas, as previously my scales would error with maximum weight exceeded. Being morbidly obese sucks. I'm going to attempt to change that for me this year. Young adult just trying asks in relationship advice. I need advice to get my mom, a 50-year-old, to stop trying to sabotage my health and weight loss. Trigger warning for food disorders. Background. I'm a 23-year-old female. I used to be really skinny growing up. Had a very high metabolism. I could eat whatever I want, as much as I want, and barely, if at all, gain weight. People called me a toothpick and always told me that you need more meat on your bones. I was self-conscious and tried multiple times to gain weight. My relationship with food became unhealthy. I became a pack rat with food. I always had snacks stashed away in many places that I could quickly grab and eat. I was constantly hungry and eating, but I still didn't gain much weight. Skip to 2016. I got sick and had to be hospitalized multiple times. At first, doctors didn't know what made me sick. After a year, they figured it out. I had to drop out of high school and wait 1 year to do online homeschooling. I became a recluse while I was sick. My physical health and mental health went downhill. Because of my hospitalizations, the medicine they had me take, and staying home, I finally gained weight. But I gained too much. Not enough to be obese, but almost. I started trying to lose some of the weight, but it was extremely hard. Then lockdown and the global pandemic happened. Skip to now 2023. I finally found a healthy routine that works for me. I started cooking better foods and exercising regularly. I'm staying with my parents because of financial and school reasons. My mom has been making unnecessary and unwanted comments on my life choices. More specifically, my eating, exercising, and fitness choices. My mom does not believe in healthy food or exercise. She always says that she grew up eating unhealthy processed food and has been fine. My mom is overweight, by the way. That I grew up eating the same processed foods and should stay the same. She says that healthy food is for uppity, high-class a-holes. She's been making comments about me turning into one of these uppity, high-class a-holes because I'm eating better and exercising. She's been buying lots of junk food almost every day and trying to get me to eat it. When I ask for her to help cook, she intentionally messes up the recipe by adding more butter, sugar, salt, etc. than it needs. She's been making fun of me when I work out, saying that I look stupid doing certain exercises, etc. I truly believe my mom is trying to sabotage my health and weight loss. What do I do to stop this, or talk to her about this, to make her understand? It sounds to me like your mom has some serious issues with in-group, out-group type thinking. She thinks of the in-group as people who eat junk and don't exercise much and are slightly fat, and the out-group are people who eat healthy food and take care of themselves. I don't know if there's anything you can really talk to her about that other than point out to her what she's thinking and why it's wrong. This is from Morma something. She posted it in Lose It. Update. From 522 pounds to currently 188 pounds. I mean, 146. Wow. So here's the original post she'd posted. Hey everybody. The title is basically it. I started very high and lost more than half of my body weight within 3.5 years. It's kind of wild to think. How much changed within this time for me personally? Being able to walk and do sports feels so good. I was looking for a place to share my story, my experiences with weight loss. Believe me, I got a lot. It started in 2016 when I visited a nutritionist who wanted me to get weight loss surgery. It was very hard to get this surgery. I live in Germany, and to get this, you need to earn it. Like not gaining any weight, losing weight on your own, change your diet, everything. It took me 2 years until I got it for insurance reasons. The time immediately after the surgery was hell, and absolutely no fun. Being a binge eater for so long made it quite difficult because I had my coping mechanism taken away from me. It worked out in the end, but it wasn't easy. My goal weight is 171 pounds, as my doctors say that at that weight I'll be able to get my loose skin removed. And even if I can't, that weight will be fine for me. People like to say that weight loss surgery is the easy way out. After living with this for so long, I can say yes and no. At the start maybe, but not long term. Now I need to watch my calories as everybody else. I'm doing exercise like everybody else, 6 days a week, and I need to stay consistent like everybody else. Just that I need to take pills for the rest of my life because of the surgery and cannot eat some stuff because my food cannot process it anymore. But that's fine because I chose this path and I'm proud of what I achieved. I had no idea you couldn't eat certain foods or that you had to take pills. If I feel down or look into the mirror and think, well, you're still not a pretty girl, I remember how I was at the start and how badly I wanted to change. Remember, guys, sometimes you can have a bad day in your journey, but the most important thing is that you return to the good path. I'm now a few months after my first skin removal surgery, and I have a birthday tradition where my BFF visits me. We have a fine time. She takes pictures of me, which I normally don't do because I hate it, and I wear the clothes she gifted me. After she is gone, we both look at the journey I had. She was with me all the time, loved me no matter my size. She's the sister I never got, the family I never had. She is and was my motivation for doing this. Here you have my picture history, my journey, so to speak. I'll spend a few seconds on the pictures. There's 6 of them. In the first picture, she's 522 pounds. And then 1 year later, she looks way thinner in 2019. And by 2021, it's hard to tell, but she looks like she's lost a little more weight. Then there's 3 more pictures. By the January 2022 picture, she's at best slightly overweight. And in the most recent picture, she's at a normal weight. And I guess this is the point where she's going to get skin surgery. I don't know. You can't tell whether or not she needs it because she's wearing, clothes that cover her whole body. She continues, this time was something very special. For the first time I wore this crop top outside. I wore tight-fitting, high-waisted pants. I bought myself some combat boots, which I never was able to wear because of my lymphedema. From what I've been reading, I thought weight loss didn't help with lymphedema. You actually had to have it suctioned out. Am I wrong? She continues, "Together with my BFF, we went shopping for new workout clothes. I needed a size S. Small. I bought my first complete jogging set, and we used it. I went jogging with her for 30 minutes straight, and for the first time I realized how fit I was. I felt amazing. Despite the skin, which is still a problem around the remaining areas, you can see the skin on my arms on the picture a bit. It was great. Now we're so active, whereas before we didn't move a lot and we gamed a lot. I've come so far. I never thought that pictures would exist where I look at them and be like, well, I guess I can look kind of okay. I'm not an SMO person anymore. I'm not even obese. I worked so hard for this, and I need to do this for the rest of my life. But guys, it was worth it. It really, really was. No matter if you ate that darn cake or the darn pizza, climb back on that wagon because we are in it for the long term. As you can see, my journey was not just a month. My surgery was not a quick, easy fix. Nothing worth chasing is easy. I made long-term changes to my whole life in order to reach what you see on the picture. Don't believe those Instagram models who claim that Diet X or the fitness guru on YouTube that says, lose weight with Y in 2 weeks. Changing yourself is a long, long journey. I started with small changes as well. Changed from drinking sugar stuff to drinking non-sugar stuff. Changed my diet. Eating the stuff I love in moderation. I still eat unhealthy stuff, guys. You don't think I did not eat a lot of cake on my birthday, do you? You can bet your butt I did. But now, while my BFF is gone, I will just do what I did before. My BFF and I were incredibly active over those days as well. So, there wasn't really even a calorie surplus. Over those days we both did not track calories. We normally do, and it's fine if you give yourself a break. Because we're doing this to get back our life, aren't we? We can't just restrict and never enjoy ourselves. And I started to enjoy my life, even without food. It's possible for me now. Hopefully, I translated all that correctly. The writer was obviously ESL. Someone Tads or something in Lose It posted, I can't ever have just one cookie, and I think I'm okay with that. Everyone always says, just save some calories to have a few Oreos at the end of the day. But no, that does not and will not work for me. I've been on a diet for close to a year now, and have made a lot of progress. They've gone from 208 pounds to 132 pounds. And built up healthy eating habits and exercise routines. I fare pretty well at 1,200 calories, all things considered, and I'm fine keeping my intake, about 1,500 even on exercise days. I eat healthily with macros and nutritional value in mind. Most of the time, and generally don't binge outside of planned events like holidays and vacations. However, when I have cookies, cakes, or other sweet desserts, I can never just have one. It's the entire sleeve or bust, no matter how hard I try. Yesterday, I made some butter cookies because I got new cookie cutters I liked. I told myself I'll just eat a couple, then proceeded to eat half the batch by myself with jam and chocolate, and went to bed literally stuffed. I just finished the leftover cookies first thing this morning. By the way, butter cookies are even more amazing when aged. It's barely 8 a.m. here, and I'm already like 1,000 calories over. To be honest, I don't even regret this. It was so much fun to bake and eat, and frankly, I deserve a treat every once in a while. And now that it's not in my kitchen anymore, I know I can stick to my usual routine starting tomorrow. I just won't weigh myself for a week or so to avoid unnecessary anxiety, and I'll be golden. I just know more clearly now than ever that even when I move on to maintenance, sweets just won't be a part of my regular diet. I've come to terms with the fact that I'll have to set aside a couple of days out of the month to bake something decadent and pick it up. I have to comment a little. You can do that, of course, if you can control it. For some people, that couple days a month would expand to like several weeks a month, and then just every day. If you can figure out a way to do it, the better thing is to have a little bit every day, so that you don't end up binging on it once a month. But how to do that without turning into a daily binge is a bit tricky. Well, that's the end. I'd like to give a special thank you to Emmett McNally, Rig, Cupcake or Death, MMC, Story, Megtran2000, Gato, That One Guy, Maria P, Average Loser, Wolfchild Rusk, Just a Girl, S. West, I Cuddle Cats, and Orale Christine. I hope I pronounced all your names right. If not, leave a comment and I'll try to do better next time. If you liked the video, please consider giving it a like, and if you really like it, consider subscribing or becoming a member. I wish all of you wonderful people a wonderful day.